The album might be called Let It Be, but Giles did not let up on these mixes. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Monkey Sensing Sensei back with another video, and today I have an important release for everybody. This is the Let It Be 50th anniversary mix by Giles Martin and Sam Okell. This came out about a month or so ago. I didn't pre-order or anything. I literally saw it on Amazon, just picked it up for about $22. This is an important release because this actually was not originally produced by George Martin back in 1970. It was actually Phil Spector who produced this record, the guy that would also produce George Harrison's All Things Must Pass album that same year or about a year later. And this is the new remix that Giles Martin did with Sam Okell, just like he did with the White Album, Sgt. Pepper, and Abbey Road before him. But this album's kind of a unique case because this one was actually meant to be recorded live. A live feel like their first album, Please Please Me, was. They wanted to go back to basic with this record. No more of the psychedelics and no more of the longer albums. They just want to do something very live and simple to kind of gel the band back together. Of course, this coincides with the bootleg movie Let It Be, which is now going to be its own Disney Plus series coming up in November, which I am looking forward to. I plan on watching that when it comes out. 3-part series. I don't know if I'll watch the whole thing at once. But anyway, this is the 50th anniversary, well, technically the 51st anniversary now. I think with everything going on, they had to push it back a year. But here it is. We finally got it. 50th anniversary remix. Just got done taking this off my turntable about a half an hour ago before I filmed this video. And I am blown away by the mix on this. It actually benefits quite a bit from the cleanup and the modern tools that they had at their disposal. Because songs like Two of Us, the opening chord that you get with the acoustics at the very beginning sound fantastic. You can hear both Paul and John singing. And it goes right into Dig a Pony. And Across the Universe, one of the best showcases of this new mix. You hear it again with the acoustic guitars, you hear that, you hear John singing. And to me, Across the Universe is the last vestiges of John's more psychedelic lyrics that he was pumping out on Sgt. Pepper and Revolver and Magical Mystery Tour and the like. It's kind of a little bit of a throwback to that, just to say I haven't forgotten all about the ethereal psychedelic lyrics, but it's the last little bit. And on this mix, I love that you get to still hear some of the wind effects and some of the production that Phil Spector had done originally, but it's just cleaned up. And so the acoustics really shine through on this release. And one thing that's unique about the Let It Be record is that since it is more of a live album, recorded album in a sense, you get to hear so much studio chatter and it comes in so clear. The beginning of Two of Us and at the end of Get Back. I love it too, because it kind of harkens back to what they were doing on the first album, like when they were recording Please Please Me. Now, this isn't admittedly one of my personal favorite Beatles records. I find this album to be kind of a little bit messy in place, but at the same time, it is a really good album and a great place to end their career off if you want to listen to something after Abbey Road. And I know that Abbey Road was recorded after this. Abbey Road is technically the Beatles' last album, but this was just something they threw together. But that being said, I will say that the track listing is still very concise. And even the tracks like Dig It, and Maggie May, the two little pieces on here that are very short, the studio chatter is hilarious and I love it. Even if they are incomplete, short little ditties, I think they still belong on this record. Because if you took those out, like they take it out on the Let It Be Naked compilation, it's just, you don't get that same live feeling, in my opinion. Because a lot of the spirit of this record is the studio chatter. Because you don't get that on the White Album or Abbey Road, or you don't really get that through the Beatles albums. To me, like how the White Album is unique and how long it is and how every track is different, this album is a unique Beatles record because you get to hear that studio chatter. Normally, you'd have to buy a special edition of, say, the White Album or Sgt. Pepper in order to hear the studio outtakes and the studio chatter. But with this, you get it right out of the gate. Record, you put it on, you hear studio chatter, you hear a song, you hear a little bit studio chatter, hear another song, you get some studio chatter. It seems to have a really nice flow to it. And if you like studio chatter, you're gonna like this record quite a bit. It's like almost like you're a fly on the wall to some of the recordings. It's pretty much the best of that whole them being filmed in the Twickenham studio, but just like the best parts of it, pretty much. Now, I will say, as much as I do like this album now, especially after listening to this new mix, I will say that I still think it's not one of my favorite Beatles albums quite yet. It still has time to grow on me, just because I feel like the songs aren't, some of them, again, aren't really complete. But I can't deny Let It Be. That song, especially the solo, if you put this on and you hear this mix, the solo, it's amazing. I mean, Let It Be solo from George Harrison is one of my favorite guitar solos of all time. There's no lie on that one. And hearing that on my turntable, it gave me goosebumps. It sounds fantastic. And I'm sure it sounds great in the original, but something about Giles Martin just using modern techniques to really bring the sound out. And you know, it's not as much of a change. Like Sgt. Pepper was like really the real change. Like you heard that because there's so much going on. With these songs, they're more simple and just more laid back. There's not as much going on as with Sgt. Pepper, or even the White Album with how many songs you had and how many different styles you had on that record. But still, you could still hear a little bit that it's just a more open, freely sounding recording than what you had in 1969 to 1970. And I gotta say that One After 909, one of my favorite songs on this album, it sounds great on this. I mean, this whole mix sounds great in general, but that One After 909, The Long and Winding Road, even songs I'm not the biggest fan of, or I wasn't the biggest fan of before, like For You Blue and I've Got a Feeling, I love them on this mix because it just brings everything out. And but I'm a George guy, so I'm really loving George's songs. So I think For You Blue will really grow on me after a while. And I mean, the album cover is iconic. They didn't change anything with that. I heard that the font is a little bit different. Like they changed the font just a little bit when they reproduced these records, but I barely noticed it. And the photos are really good. The back cover, you can see it looks fantastic. You got the Green Apple logo there. Photos too of John and Paul and George, Ringo. One of my only complaints with this album, that Ringo, he has no songs. Why are there no Ringo songs on this? Did he just not want to sing? Like he got Octopus's Garden, which they did record around this time. If you buy the outtakes, the 5LP version, you get a bunch of outtakes, and Octopus's Garden is on here, is in that version. But I'm just, why didn't they get any Ringo songs on here? I would love it. Honestly, the track listing feels a little bit incomplete. I mean, if you look at the back here, you can see right here, it looks like there's two tracks that just didn't get scribbled into the back of their jacket. They should have, if they were gonna keep the same number of tracks, you could have just put these tracks and then just brought them down to the picture here, maybe centered them a little bit, or just added 2 more tracks. I'm pretty sure they had 2 more tracks they could have just added to this release, and it would have been better. It'd been a nice 14-track record like Please Please Me, 7 on one side, 7 on the other side, like they had intended to with the Get Back project, which they did release as the Glenn Johns mix in the 5LP box set of this, which I did not order that. I might get that someday if the price of it goes down on it, but it's kind of pricey at the moment. If I'm going to buy a huge vinyl set, I'm going to buy one of the White Album or Abbey Road, or one of the more Beatles albums that I do like. But if they do sell that Glenn Johns mix individually, I might pick that up down the line. But as it stands right now, I do love this record. Again, not one of my favorites, but this album sounds great on this format, on vinyl. The mix is great. Giles Martin did it again, just like he did with Sgt. Pepper's, Abbey Road, White Album. Maybe he'll do Magical Mystery Tour. Maybe he'll do some of their earlier albums too. There's some rumors going around he might go back to some of their earlier records like Revolver or Rubber Soul, maybe even Hard Day's Night possibly. The only problem with him doing that would be going to the master tapes, and they're like 50 years old now, like 55 years old now, some of those master tapes. So good luck trying to get those to really be reproducible, if you will. But if he does it, I'm all for it, because this guy, he knows what he's doing. I mean, his father was George Martin, the guy who produced the Beatles in the first place, back in the 60s. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to producing and just remixing records. And I hope he does do some of the Beatles albums that are earlier in the timeline. Because as it stands right now, all you can get of those are the 2012 vinyl reissues that some people like, some people don't. I do have a copy of Hard Day's Night behind me that I do want to talk about someday when I listen to it. But my personal opinion, those mixes sound fine to me. They're not the greatest, but they're decent. And they're cheap, so you know, what do you expect? But anyway, that's my review for Let It Be by the Beatles 50th anniversary mix. I hope everyone had a great day. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave some comments down below. Any feedback really appreciated on my channel. I'm gonna go listen to some more music, and you guys have a great afternoon and continue to meditate through vinyl.